So Cane Corsos can't play with other dogs. You've been told that plenty of times, right? It just doesn't work. You can't have one breed type and then get a Cane Corso. They just won't get along. I don't know how many people have heard that before. And, every breed is different. And every Cane Corso puppy that you get's different. Also, family environment's different. How do you raise your pup? Do you teach them from a young age what's okay and what's not? Do they have good breeding with well-tempered parents? How well behaved is your dog you have before you get your Corso? And the list goes on and on, right? It's always different for each individual situation, but in general, if you have a well-behaved dog, and in general, if you get a Cane Corso from reputable breeders who emphasize breeding for temperament above all else, then there's no reason why you can't have a Cane Corso in other dogs. Furthermore, as you've seen in some of the videos that we've posted, some of our shorts as we're beginning to build the channel, our Cane Corso pup, Kade here, gets along fine with our cats. There's no risk to the cats. I guess the biggest risk is sometimes Kade wants to play with one of the cats. And his understanding of when he plays, what that means for the cat may vary, but as far as understanding the rules and understanding that he's not to hurt the cats, he understands that without question. Him understanding his limits of when he just puts a little paw on them to play, what that does to the cat is a whole another story, but he's learning that, as you've seen in some of our other videos. But you can see, no interaction from me, how they can play. So, just thought this would be a fun video to do. Just hanging out here this morning. Dogs are out here playing, and popped in my mind how many times I've heard that it's going to be a problem. You may hear from my voice I'm getting over a cold, so forgive that. Further on that subject, how they interact with toys and how they interact with feeding and all those things you have to take into account. So we're able to feed them right next to each other. I established when they were young, when Kade was young, that there's rules that they don't get into each other's food. In the beginning, Kade didn't know any better. He would eat super fast his food. And as soon as he was done eating, he would try to go for Cash's food. And so, you just address the issue right away. I'm hoping that when he's a full-grown adult, that they will still be able to eat right next to each other. And in reality, I'm pretty confident that's going to be the case, because he's going to be taught that way. He may think he's bigger and stronger one day than Cash, but he's not the alpha dog, and he's not the leader of the pack. That would be me and the rest of the family. So even if he believes he can beat our older boy here, he'll know that that's not allowed, because that's not okay with me. Look at this stance. So a lot of that has to come with how you raise the dog. If your dog is left to believe that he's the pack leader and he's the one that should make the decisions, then yes, it's going to be dangerous to let your dogs eat right next to each other. However, if you have a well-trained dog and he's been bred well with good genetics, and he's taught that he's not the pack leader, and it's not okay with you if he gets in the other dog's food, then you shouldn't have a problem. There's always different scenarios, so this isn't across the board going to work every single time. But if you get a Cane Corso puppy and you're trying to figure out if it's something that can be done, start implementing it early. watching closely, making sure that there's not any issues you have to address, and be sure that you address them when they're young. Excuse me. Be sure that you address them when they're young. That way you don't have a 150-pound Cane Corso in confrontation with your older dog that you've had for years, and you don't have to worry about there being dangers. Like, even so, they're playing fine, so I don't want to interrupt them, but as Kade is getting bigger, if it started getting too rough, I could pick and choose when it's time to settle it back down, so they understand the rules. I wouldn't do that right now, because right now the way they're playing is perfect. They're happy as can be. Look at both of their bellies are showing, open mouths, just playing along. Like, that's perfect. But if they were started getting too aggressive, then I would just stop it. And so as Kade is older and twice as big as my boxer, Cash, he knows the rules. He knows how far he can go and what's okay and what's not. And I'll say it now for everybody, I am not a veterinarian. I am not a highly trained dog trainer. I'm just fairly experienced and knowledgeable. I've done a lot of my own research from those who do have the knowledge and experience, and taken what they've done and what they've said, and I'm just applying it to my dogs. So far that's worked good for me. But if there's something you don't agree with and it doesn't work for you, then by all means, don't do it. I'm not saying that my way is the only way or the right way. I'm just making a video about what works for me and showing you that it is possible. So when people tell you that something can't be done, make sure you look at all aspects of it before assuming that they're right and if you can't do it. So an example of something you should be able to do as the owner, as the pack leader, is like you got two dogs playing and they also have a toy right there. And I should be able to walk right up, drop it, and just take it. Easy as that. Their attention's on me because they want the toy, but you shouldn't even be worried about it. You should be able to put your hand and your face by your dogs, if they're trained, and not have to worry about it. Okay, drop it. See? Okay, go get it, guys. Now, if you have a 6-month-old Cane Corso and you've never put your hand by their mouth when they're playing with a toy, or you've never put your face by their face when they're eating or they're playing with a toy, you should proceed with some caution. I wouldn't just jump right into that. You gotta test the waters a little bit. Remember, it's one thing when you're teaching them from a puppy. It's another if they're already starting to develop habits. And you know if your dog has some bad habits. If they're possessive with toys or possessive with food, you should start working on breaking that. The sooner the better, but it's never too late unless you feel like it's going to put you in an unsafe position. By all means, don't do that. Get help from somebody who is a knowledgeable, dog trainer, a reputable dog trainer. But anything you feel like you can do safely and reasonably to teach your own dog to be the way you want him to be, then by all means go for it. Look at that chest pump. It's one of the things he does that's so funny. Kade will just run up and almost like a football tackle, just chest pump into Cash. It cracks me up. So Kade is 5 months and a week or two right now. He's still growing into his body. He weighs more than Cash now, actually. He's pretty close to the same height and size, but definitely still very awkward, clumsy. So that's about it, guys, for this one. Let me know what you think of this video. If you want to know a little bit more or have some questions, feel free to comment. And you want to see more videos like this, videos that address other things. And just getting started here, but I do aspire to build this to a larger channel and be able to address more topics, have more conversations, more interactions with other people. But you got to start somewhere. So hopefully you guys have been liking and following the shorts that we've been putting up. As he gets a little older, I plan on trying to do a little bit more long form content. And if you haven't already, like and follow. And I'll see you guys in the next one. One last one for the road. What do you guys hear? Ooh, the sneak up. That's a good way to wrap it up.